Whether you're a lifelong keeper or just getting started, help us encourage responsible keeping, conservation, and public education in the interest of keeping our reptiles safe and healthy as we protect them for future generations. You're invited to spend time with us as we experience these awesome animals together on Intrepid Exotics. Whether you're a lifelong keeper or just getting... Aha! There we go. Hit the wrong button. Hey, what's going on, Brandon? How you doing tonight, man? I was sitting here. I just gotten all the stuff done for today. Wasn't anywhere close to tired, so I figured I'd jump on here and just start a live stream and see who pops up. Make it like an open mic night, so if anybody wants to jump in, then absolutely feel free to do so. I'll yeah, if you guys want to, if anybody wants to jump in, just go ahead and jump up and send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. Probably Facebook pops up a little bit quicker for me here, so, and I will send you the link to jump on. But we don't have too much exciting going on tonight. This is what happens when you get old. You don't party on the weekends. You sit home and relax. We do have some pretty cool stuff going on. For you guys that didn't catch the live stream that we did the other day with Danielle about setting up the educational booths up at the reptile shows, that went really well. And we've got another one planned out here for December. So we'll be setting up another booth, seeing what we can add to it and stuff like that. And we're in a process of contacting some other shows just to see if we can sit out there and help answer questions for folks, stuff like that. And those are always a lot of fun. It's nice because we don't have the pressure of trying to sell anything. We can just sit out there and chill out and talk to folks and answer questions and stuff like that. Let's see. Name of my big male reticulated python is Tigger. And I call him that because Tigger's bounce. And when I first got him, he was bouncing all over the place. Let's see. I guess while I'm talking through here, man, it's so hard to like browse through here for photos and stuff like that and keep up with chat and all that stuff too. But for those of you guys that have seen any number of my videos, the big purple tiger male retic that I've got, his name's Tigger. I got him when he was about 12 feet long, and I walked into the place and he was just glaring at the glass. Didn't want anything at all to do with people. I slamming the glass. We had a lot of fun getting him tubbed up and then getting him into his new enclosure at the house. But we got him here. About 2 or 3 times he chased me out of the enclosure. As soon as I started going in, I mean, there was no tap, there was no hooking him or nothing. I'd go in there with the hook, he'd bite at it, and then he'd bite at me. And you guys can see now in the videos that I've got out about him, he's a big teddy bear now. I just had him out. It's really cool because I had a friend stop by yesterday, and as a new acquaintance, don't really know much about him, but we got to talking. Him and his wife was over, and apparently they've got the Brady Bunch, so they're going to be bringing the kids over tomorrow. It's going to be one of the last nice days. It was going to do it today, but it was overcast. It was only about 76 out here. It's supposed to be 78 and clear tomorrow, which will be perfect to have the snakes out. So we managed to get Tigger, the big mean male retic, from that really nasty disposition that he had to now I can take him out there and have him around anybody, and trust that he's not going to go after anybody. It's really, really nice. He still puts up a little bit of a huff and a puff when I go to get him out, but hey, Work night up at 3:30. Wee, that sounds like fun. I have a video on the enclosure. A quick breakdown. Well, it was really simple, really. I've got, don't know how well you can see it, but one of the things that I did is I cut down a piece of plexi, and I've got that, it's about 6 inches high. So that holds in all the substrate stuff. For this thing right now, all I did in order to get that thing moving is to, I just kind of caulk the seams on the inside, put a really heavy substrate in there, put the plexi up. So that's fine. It's not too much of a mess, and it's a hard pack enough substrate to where I really don't have to worry about it getting nasty. Real easy to clean stuff. I just cut out some of the supports for the 3 shelves that were in there and left enough to attach to platforms right there. Put some stuff for him to climb on. Went up to Hobby Lobby and got some vinyl background to put in there. Some of the fake trees, and it was all done. Piece of cake. 1-day job. So, hey, Heather, how's it going? Good to see you. Ruth. Yeah, Bob is really popular, man. Everybody seems to love him. Every time I talk to anybody, everybody's like, hey, how's Bob doing? I just had him out again. Big D, how you doing, buddy? Hey, how you doing, man? I keep meaning to pop in there and sit in with you guys again, but every time I do, I get ended up getting tied up in something else. So yeah, we've got those reptile shows that we're working with. I really want to have an official U.S. ARC presence there too. So got an email out to Phil. I'm going to see what he says. If we're going to be out there doing educational stuff, we need to have, we need to be really pushing U.S. ARC. And I'd like to be, maybe even scheduling briefings and stuff at these shows where people can just kind of hang out and listen to us talk about it and stuff like that. Set up a PA or something. So, but we'll see how all that stuff progresses. Yeah, Bob knows he's awesome too. It's the world according to him every time I get him out. I had him outside today. He did really good, and I wasn't 100% sure he was a wild caught, but I really think he is, because when he goes outside, the very first thing he does is he tries burrowing down into the ground to get away. And exactly the same thing you'll see a wild snake do. Well, the thing is that, we love our ball python folks here, but I don't know how much of the big snake and monitor lizard really falls into the conversations there. Yeah, I'll just kind of sit there and listen to all the ball python stuff and talking about the morphs. And the morphs just go right over my head. I'm the first person to admit I've spent a very limited amount of time studying genetics and morphs and stuff like that. Yeah, I need to do more of it at some point, but I'm one of those guys where I really don't care what my snake looks like. I just enjoy interacting with them, So I never keep up with the breeders. Now then, I can't keep up with their conversations. Let's put it that way. Yeah, for right now, I didn't put any kind of special sealer in it or anything because, the wood itself is stained and varnished. I just sealed up the corners. So that's not an enclosure that I expect to last for, 10 years. But I do have a similar setup downstairs that I've got my carpet python in, and it's set up the same way, and it's lasted every bit of 4 years. Still in really good shape. So, hey, Dave, how's it going, buddy? Yeah. Yeah, and you can find these things for next to nothing, man. People are moving; they don't want them anymore. Um, and they make really awesome enclosures. He loves it. I mean, even being a Sri Lankan, they're not arboreal snakes, but he gets in there. I'll put him down on the bottom, and he's really quick to start cruising around. He actually lives. Let's see, right up there is where he stays all the time. He likes that top platform, which is kind of fun when I go to take him out because I'm right at eye level with his teeth. But fortunately, he's not doing too bad. Ah, cool. Sweet. Where you at, Heather? I know I'm gonna have to crawl down the comments before I see the answer. But I don't remember what state Ruth is in either. Let's see. Man, my sleep schedule got so messed up last night because we ordered a really big barbecue platter from this local place out here, and I've got no control with food. So I ate so much, it was miserable, couldn't sleep. I was up 2 or 3 times last night. Napped all day today. So hey, what's up, Jordan? Hey, and so you guys know, man, anybody that wants to jump in, feel free to let me know and I'll get you the matter of fact, I'm just gonna go ahead and post the let me just post a link in here. So that way I'll see anybody come up in the green room if you decide you want to jump up. Yeah, Jordan, we're all ready for next week, buddy. We're really going to be looking forward to doing that video. Okay. Heather's in Ohio. I lived in Ohio for a while. My grandparents lived in Akron. And from the time I was born until the time I was 8 years old, spent every summer out there. Ended up going back as a teenager and hanging around the university for a while. That's the state where I actually lived in at martial arts school for a couple of years. So Ohio can be a pretty nice state. We used to go out to Cuyahoga Valley all the time. There's a big park out there. I had a great time. Well, he was in good hands before. Aubrey Pruitt is the one who got me him and the Orange Glow Phantom that I've got back there. And for any of you guys that know him, he's an outstanding keeper. He's an awesome breeder. He spent decades working on some really cool genetics and retics. So the snake was taken care of, but when he got it from somebody else, it wasn't socialized. And with all of the animals and all the stuff that he's got going on, he just didn't really have the time to invest in it. And he thought it'd be a really good educational opportunity for Intrepid to put out. So that's all him. And we're really grateful to him for doing that because a lot of people got a lot of good, ideas and stuff like that. From what we was doing with him, which was really cool. And such good feedback. Massachusetts, you guys are getting ready to freeze in a couple months. Hey, man, how you doing? Yeah, this wasn't even planned. I just I was sitting here. I was actually sitting outside having a smoke, and I was like, you know what? I'm not tired yet, so let's just go online and I keep kind of looking around every now and then to see if anybody's got any live streams going on. I don't see any. So I was like, well, I don't see one. So I'll make one and see who wants to jump in. And we have no real purpose for tonight. I'll just, nope. He has not taken a meal yet. I think he's getting close, but he's still at the point where as soon as I offer, he attacks it. So what I do with him is every week I'll go in and I'll offer. He attacks it if I'm moving it around and so forth, which is just defensive strikes, and then he backs up and leaves it alone. And then I'll drop it, leave it there for a couple hours, see if he touches it, and he doesn't. And he's still, I've got him to the point where he's handleable now, and he's not consistently striking at me, not musking and stuff like that. But he's still really uneasy, and it's just going to take a little bit more time and patience. I'm keeping a really close eye on him as far as his, as his weight goes, making sure he stays hydrated and stuff like that. So it's been a couple months. It's not unusual for it to take a little while for a new, especially when it's high strung as him to eat. But he'll get there, and I'm pretty confident that with him, it's probably going to be the same way as it was with my little female Burmese. She refused to eat. I had to force feed her the first couple months because I got her way too early. The person sent her to me before she had her first shed, before she had her first meal. So it took a good couple months of the force feeding and working with her. And then all of a sudden overnight, she just figured out what to do. And she's been slamming food ever since. And Aubrey said that he was eating just fine for him. So I'm sure it's all the handling, the change of environment and stuff like that. And he'll get better. Just a work in progress. I know we had the 10 handling sessions and success type thing, but yeah, there's still some hurdles to overcome. It's still going to take some work with him. Let's see. I was going to pin that comment, but let's see if I can find it over here. I was going to pin the comment with the StreamYard link, and I almost banned myself. There we go. Okay, we've got somebody in. Let's see who we got. Hey.
Hey, how are you?
All right, pretty good. Let me get the volume all fixed up here. So I am really sorry. What is your name? Because I know the Reptivers, but
I'm Grant.
Grant. Okay. Good to meet you, man.
You too.
This is the first time we've talked. Where are you at?
I am in Southwest Ohio.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
A lot of Ohio folks in here today.
Ohio's pretty good for reptiles. I mean, unless you have something bigger than 12 feet. Other than that, it's pretty good.
I've heard that. I've heard they've got the 12-foot rule right there. And I can't remember who it was that I was talking with that was talking about trying to get that changed out there. I think it was Ohio. Could be a different one.
Probably was Ohio. I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, basically you just sign some paperwork when you have a snake bigger than 12 foot and they don't really ask any questions.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think that Fish and Game comes and inspects enclosures like once a year to make sure that they're housed correctly.
Uh-huh.
Not keeping a 15-foot retic and a 4x2x2.
Right. Because we all know that never happens.
No, never. Yeah. I'm not at that point yet. I have the one mainland, but she's like 6 foot, so.
Yeah. Have you ever worked with a really big one before?
No, she'll be my first full grown retic. Which I'm glad I got her as a baby so that I've gotten used to
Yeah.
handling just her.
Yeah. Yeah. I would really see if you could, if there's anybody around you, and I'm sure you've probably already thought about this, but if there's anybody around you that's got any 14, 16, 18 footers that you can kind of practice with.
Yeah, I've tried to find some people, and the closest person was like 4.5 hours away. And I'm trying to get up to his place, but it's just not
Yeah.
not been in the cards yet.
Right. Yeah.
That would have been useful. I have an anaconda down here. He's like a 9-foot yellow.
Oh, nice.
And he is a really pretty snake, but he's not a very happy animal.
Yeah, those can be challenging. I've got some of the nastiest bite videos I've seen where the anacondas.
Yeah, which when I got him, the person I got him from was like, "Yeah, that's completely overblown. They don't actually act like that ever." And I'm like, "Really?" Because he does.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of them. The yellows can be kind of spicy. And the greens can be kind of spicy too.
Yeah, but I think I've handled like 2 green. They were babies, but the greens that I've handled have definitely been a lot more mellow.
Yeah, yeah.
I have this big yellow, and I have a tiny yellow anaconda, and they're both really angry all the time.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. What type of martial arts did I do? It was an open school. This was in the early 90s. So this was kind of MMA before MMA was MMA. We had instructors there from all different disciplines. we focused mainly on Aikijitsu and Muay Thai. Did a lot of Thai boxing, and actually it worked out really well after my instructor passed, and I went into American kickboxing. It made that pretty easy for me until I blew my knee out, and then that kind of put the kibosh on that. But all right, Laura, if you're still on, we'll hold down the fort. Hickory, North Carolina. That's about 2 hours from me, I think. Aha. Hey, Jay. How's it going, buddy? Let's see. Hey, there's some more North Carolina folks. Oh, sweet. Yeah,
I think I'm gonna do an enclosure like what you have Silent Bob in.
Yeah.
My boss has my boss buys everything he sees for sale on the internet.
Right.
So he has like 8 of those in our warehouse.
Oh, man.
And he was like, "Yeah, if you can haul them away, I don't really care if they go away."
That's awesome. The one that I've got, oddly enough, the first one I did was for my boa, and that's out in the living room. That one took quite a bit of work, and it's massive. It's twice the size of this one, and it actually came from the funeral home that I used to work out of. So it didn't have the glass doors on it or anything, so I had to go in and modify all the doors, put the plexi on it, and so forth. But yeah, that one that is now his enclosure used to be storage for cremains.
Yeah, I measured one of them. I think that the one I'm gonna take home with me is 6x2x6.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been wanting to get an emerald tree boa for a really long time.
Yeah.
So I think I might do that and try and do something nice for my home office.
Yeah, that's gonna be, and for a tree boa too, man. That's gonna be a massive enclosure for them.
Yeah, and I'm about to build out because I'm in my parents' basement.
Right.
So I'm buying a shed from the Amish and insulating that and running electric and water so that I can have like a 20x12 space.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Yeah, there is some Amish out in Ohio.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
I think it starts just east of South Bend, Indiana, and just kind of scatters all the way across like Ohio into PA and all that. We used to go out there all the time. Actually, we used to go to the when we was kids. My parents would go out to the Amish places, watch them make their quilts and stuff like that. They've got really cool stuff, especially yard furniture and stuff like that.
Yeah, my uncle goes to all of the Amish fairs, and he sent me pictures. He went to one where they had Burmese pythons, like a bunch of baby Burmese pythons for sale. So he was
funny.
like, I gave this random Amish dude your phone number. So
You know, they use phones. You gotta look for smoke signals or something.
Well, and I was like, do you think that I know every single person with a Burmese python in Ohio?
Right.
I would get one of them out, but I fed last night, and they're all happy under their heat.
Yeah. Did a live stream. The last one that I did before the one with Danielle. We were sitting here talking, and Aaron's pulling one snake out after another, and I had just fed everybody, and everybody else that didn't eat was really deep in shed, so I felt bad. He's pulling all his snakes out, and I'm just kind of sitting here going, well, I really can't touch mine right now.
Yeah, and I have a couple of tegus, but they're heat bulb. I have one of those, like, way too expensive basking bulbs that's also UVB.
Yeah.
It burnt out like 2 weeks ago, and they decided, well, I guess it's wintertime, and they all went to sleep. So
yeah, those bulbs. Last time I had to order some, I was really happy with the fact that I was taking it out of the box and then slipped and just dropped it on the floor like immediately out of the box. It's like, what is that, like $60-$80 bulb or something? Poof.
Yeah, I've done that a few times, and I bought a UVB bulb because my Burmese python is in this PVC behind me, and when I bought it, 2 months after I bought it, I realized it had one of those tube light fixtures in the top.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll put a UVB bulb in there, and I put it in there, and I've never turned it on. Because I'm like, he has LED lighting, and when I film down here, I don't like having one enclosure infinitely brighter than all the others.
Right. Yeah, I've got to change this up because everything in this office reflects off everything else. So if I have the camera like pointed back here, all you see is, because my whole desk is all monitors. I've got 3 monitors set up over here that I work off of, and one of them's a TV. Plus, I'm a big nerd. I built my gaming PC, and I do all that stuff too. So yeah, I've got this huge command center right here. So every time I turn the camera on, it's all reflecting off the back. So I've really got to up my game, but I just don't have enough space to work with. If I put it anywhere else, there's not going to be room to stand.
Yeah. Well, I had the problem for a while that I didn't know. Do you know Adam Wickens?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he messaged back and forth with me because I asked him to check out a couple of my videos because I'm on his Patreon.
Yeah.
And he was like, what's up with your lighting? And I realized that I have 2 overhead lights on either side of me that I had turned on because I thought it would make my face really bright, but all it did was put a shadow right down the center of my face.
Yep.
I was like, oh, I don't know how I edited all of these videos without noticing that, but oh well.
Yeah. I really need to up my camera game, up my lighting game. I need to my space, so I've got room to actually do this stuff. But I don't feel so bad because Adam works out of a really small spot too.
Yeah.
But
he has it organized very well for filming.
Yeah,
which makes sense, but
yeah. Yeah, I've only got so much organizational room because with the 3 big snakes and the Nile monitor, and they take up a lot of space.
Yeah. When I was down at Animal Con, because I went this last time round,
Oh, cool.
I was hanging out with all the YouTubers trying to film stuff, and I was using a phone tripod for my heavy camera, and the top of it fell off, and my camera broke itself on the ground.
Oh, fun.
And I was like, oh, this couldn't have happened in front of a different group of people.
Right. Well, I'm sure anybody that's been doing this for any period of time has had something similar.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times in the middle of filming something, of course I don't, that gets edited out, but get a big snake getting a hold of the tripod or something like that, and poof.
Yeah.
Especially when you're working in close quarters.
Or the mic. They'll suddenly decide that the microphone is food.
Yeah. Yeah. If you've, I'm guessing you're referring to Bob taking this microphone out if you'd seen that.
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So funny.
But I mean, my retic is in that too. My retic thinks everything is food all the time.
Yeah.
She's like an olive python. Like I can hold her for half an hour and then she'll randomly decide that it's time to eat. And she's done that with my mic a few times.
Yeah. Yeah, Colombian rainbows are gorgeous animals. Good size tank for a baby ball python. You can go really small with baby ball pythons. Yeah. Little 20-gallon, you just got to make sure that they've got, good humidity, that you're not. It's a bad part about a lot of these smaller things is they've all got screen tops on them. So it helps to like seal that off and make sure that the substrate stays moist for them and stuff like that. But babies don't need a whole lot of space.
Yeah, I have a baby ball python right here. He was probably way too young to sell, but because I guess he took his third meal ever with me, which is really weird, apparently.
No, I cocked my head at the comment. Heather bought her mountain lion from an Amish guy. I've never read a sentence like that. Did you for real have a mountain lion? That's awesome, man.
I can't own those here.
I just don't, and that's not something that I've ever known the Amish to sell.
But apparently they have all of the animals, just all of the weird animals that you don't think you can buy.
Really? I never knew that.
And I don't know what state he's in, but I was talking to somebody on Discord the other day, and he was like, "Yeah, I can't own a reticulated python, but I can chain a silverback gorilla in my backyard."
Oh my god! Yeah, yeah, it is kind of crazy how some of the laws are set up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan, man, you should jump in. I've got the link up top, man. You should jump in, talk about your enclosures. Because they are really unique. You don't see too many of the powder-coated stuff like you've been putting out there. Yeah, owls are amazing.
Another animal that we can't have in Ohio.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's big restrictions on predatory birds anyway.
Yeah. Well, because I was looking into it for a little bit because I'm more of a bird person than a snake person.
Oh, really?
I was gonna get a macaw, and then I realized that I don't want one until I'm working from home full time.
Yeah.
And I started looking into owls because I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to have a pet owl. And Ohio was like, no, never.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's actually a criminal offense to even have the feathers of a bird of prey. In some places, they're so protected.
Yeah, and any migratory bird, like.
Really.
Yeah, like I have done some educational programs, and I had some repeat customers, which is always fun. But I have the same lineup of animals, so I'm like, here's the same program a second time. But like this kid brought me feathers, and I was like, oh, cool, thank you. And when I got home, I was like, oh, I just lost these in the yard because they're all migratory bird feathers.
I think that depends on what kind of animal it is. When I was looking at different ideas for my enclosures, I got on and I looked at some display cases. And I just couldn't. I never found anything that I was comfortable turning into an enclosure. There was always something the matter with it, and maybe I just didn't find the right ones. I'm sure if you find the right ones and you get it set up right, you'd probably make it work. But I've never personally found any that would really suit my purposes. And a lot of times that's because I like to use top mounted radiant heat panels. And of course you can't screw anything into a glass top. Maybe if you frame something out, if it was big enough to where you could frame out a platform to wedge inside there with the heat panel on it, then that might help. But I don't know if anybody does see any display cases that have been done really well. I'd like to see them.
Yeah, I think I've only seen people use display cases for inverts.
Yeah. Ooh.
The joys of having a reptile room. There's just a cricket walking across my floor.
Oh, cool. It'd be awesome. We definitely need all the Patreon support we can get. We're a growing boy here. Got all kinds of stuff that I want to do, and it's just a matter of being patient, waiting for things to grow up to the point to where we can get it all knocked out. Hopefully here in the course of the next couple of years, we can have a pretty good sized operation going.
So how big will Silent Bob get?
Oh yeah, I seen that question come up earlier. I forgot about it. I'm saying between 6 and 8 feet. He's not going to be.
Oh, really so they are pretty small.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
they're previous to being classified as strictly Sri Lankan pythons, they were a locality Indian rock python. So much like the locality retics, it gets smaller. The same type of thing with them, but they ended up reclassifying them so that they're their own species now.
Weren't Burmese pythons also Indian rock at some point?
I don't know. I mean, if you go back far enough, they probably were. You know?
If you go back far enough, every snake is related to the same snake. So.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
they're all brown worms.
Everything's a mosasaur.
Every constrictor is a python.
Right. Man. See, those animals just amaze me, but working with big predators like that is much like working with venomous as far as I'm concerned. There's a few cases where you're going to be able to do it and be fairly certain to live through it, but God, those animals, man, tigers, I could not imagine the mass and the power of those things and how easily you're alive completely on their good graces.
So I'm licensed in Ohio because I've been I worked at the Cincinnati Zoo for a long time, and I worked in the reptile house, and I'm licensed for venomous snakes, but I would never have one in this private collection. I mean, I might get a copperhead for educational stuff, but I don't want a black mamba down here.
Yeah. Haha, absolutely. Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for you to pop up, Jordan. Get to see the new baby. Yeah, I had some he was talking about the feathers of native species being illegal. There was some issues. I had a federal security appointment in Phoenix for Indian Health Services out there at one point. And the human resources director up there did a lot of Native American art. Yeah, it was an interesting conversation talking with him about how all their laws are about wildlife and how they're different for them as they are for everybody else.
I'm throwing the feeding tongs up top, or I'm never going to find them again.
My Tegu brewmating. My Tegu is not brewmating yet.
Just let your light bulb go out.
Man. Yeah, I'm actually this is probably gonna be the last weekend I feed her. And then I'm gonna start getting her enclosure ready for her to go to sleep.
So what do you do differently during the winter?
Well, I completely shut off all of her heat and stuff like that. It's a little. I mean, I know people that will actually take them out of their enclosure, put them in bins, and put them in storage areas for them to brewmate.
Yeah, I think I saw Rose City.
Yeah,
of that.
Yeah, so I'm thinking I may do that. I've got an enclosure that's kind of off to the side where it's a little bit cooler, where I put a looser substrate in there. Because right now I've got a kind of a solid substrate because she loves to dig and, she gets in there and burrows. But I don't want her to be in a tight packed substrate or anything like that for weeks on end without coming out. So I'm gonna give her a little looser substrate and just leave her alone. Now I do the last year when she's brewmating, I would go in there. I'd just make sure that I'd keep the substrate kind of moist. And I would check on her. I'd go in there every now and then, pick her up. She'd be like, "Oh, leave me alone." Put her back down. She'd get up, she might walk around, get a drink of water or something, and go back, just because I was paranoid.
No, I would be so paranoid about keeping them in bins in storage areas.
Yeah. Hey, Christina.
Yeah, because I keep I have an outdoor enclosure during the summer, which I can only use like 4 months. But
yeah. Ooh, let's see. Oh, look what I see. Yeah, sorry, Christina. I just got a wild hair and decided to come on. Look at that girl.
See if I can get her head stamp to show a little better. She's got 3 or 4 little cute dots, a nice little cross.
Right.
But she's looking great. Very calm, curious. See if I can get a little better lighting.
So did you say he's going to ship her out Monday?
Yep.
Awesome. Tuesday is my last day off work. So that's what I'll be doing Tuesday, is doing the unboxing video with her.
I'm all backwards. I can't get her in. There we go.
She's got such a great disposition.
Oh, yeah. She's a sweetie. She comes right out. She's more than happy to eat, but does very well. Settles right down.
That would be a nice change of pace from the Sri Lankan.
Yeah. I don't think you'll have any issues with the feeding or the nipping.
Right.
You don't like hunger strikes?
No, I've gotten fairly good at bobbing and weaving.
Right.
Oh gosh.
Well, I have a Solomon Island ground boa that I got over a year ago that has never had a meal with me.
I'm sorry, I was kind of multitasking, looking at the snake and checking chat. Plus, I'm old and I got Alzheimer's disease. What was it you said again?
I have a Solomon Island ground boa.
Oh, cool.
I got two at the same time. I have a female who's eating great and she's growing, and my male is the same weight as I got him a year ago, and he's never eaten.
Really?
Yeah, and I was asking some people who breed them, and they're like, yeah, sometimes because he's wild caught.
Yeah.
And they're like, sometimes those wild caught guys will go 18 months and then they'll eat a meal and just crash.
Yeah. Yeah. Wild caughts are rough to work with, man.
Yeah.
Man, such a good looking girl. You guys did good on her.
Yeah, I tell you what, their mom is a total sweetheart. She's the reason I got into retics. And she is a very, very pretty bright yellow. But these babies, they're drastically brighter yellow at 3 months younger than she was. So 3 months from now, she still wasn't this yellow. And I don't know how well it's showing through the camera, but
right.
I really think that they're all going to turn out to be really, sorry, I'm going to make everybody sick. Really, really pretty animals. So. But
seasick from seeing too much.
Yeah. But I'll hop off. I just wanted to hop on and show you your girl, Tim. I'm excited she's coming to you, man.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Tuesday.
Yep.
And I'll have to get with you about these. Say again?
I'll keep you posted on when she goes out and shipping and all that. So
absolutely, man. Please do.
All right.
And we'll have to touch base about the enclosures and stuff too. See if I can get some of that stuff out for you.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate it, man.
It'd be cool. Thanks for coming on.
I'll be in the chat. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Ruth was asked if I sell merch. Yep, I've got the store. If you scroll down underneath all of the videos, I've got the t-shirts and coffee cups and stuff like that. And for those of you guys who don't know Jordan from Heartland, man, he's an awesome guy. And he's got some really cool enclosures that he started working with. So when he gets a little bit more time, we'll probably do another live stream or something pre-recorded where we can kind of go over his enclosures. See how much business we can swamp him with.
Is she a super dwarf?
She's a dwarf.
Okay.
Yeah. The dwarf. So the parents, I think, came from Reach Out. If I'm not mistaken. So see how old Bob is. I think Bob's around 2. I'm not 100% sure. But I know he's not that old because I know he does have a lot of growing to do.
Yeah, I have a red tail boa, or I guess not a true red tail. I have a Colombian boa.
Right.
So she's coming out of quarantine soon, and then I have a legless lizard. I'm shifting everything around in here.
Yeah.
Because Snake Discovery is getting the smaller anaconda because I don't want to. So I'm putting my legless lizard in his 4-foot.
Right.
Because the internet says keep a legless lizard in a 40-gallon, and he's in like the floor space of that, but he's like 4 foot long, so I want to give him something bigger.
Nice.
And I'm gonna convert his Exoterra into a dart frogs because
cool. I've
wanted dart frogs for a while, and I haven't had anything to keep them in until a week from now.
Yeah, legless lizards is on my list. Every time I'm out anywhere looking around, I want to get one just because it's a really good species to have on hand to educate with. Yeah, I'm gonna get a couple more because I'm gonna try and breed them. The biggest issue is that you don't know if you have a male or a female, like ever. So, all right. Yeah.
Unless you get them to pee on you, and but yeah, I was looking at a lot of people because I know Snake Discovery has been trying to breed them for a while. I don't think people are brumating them. How some of the zoos that have bred them successfully are doing. because
Yeah.
I think a zoo in Melbourne said they cool them to like 35 degrees during the winter.
Yeah.
Keep them like that for 3 months, then they put them together and they have babies. So I'd like to try that. It's just a matter of figuring out if you have males or females.
Right. Yeah, I just don't. I've barely got enough time to keep up with what I do already. So digging into breeding anything is so far off the radar right now until I can get in a position where I've got more time to devote to all of this.
Yeah. I mean,
The whole full-time job really gets in the way of all this stuff.
yeah. I want to. The main thing I want to breed is anacondas because I love yellow anacondas. They've been my favorite snake since I was like 5 years old.
Right.
And I bought my little one as a female, and then it turned into a male. So, so I have to find a female that's not 2 months old for sale.
Right. Yeah, when my let's see, last time my Tegu woke up, I don't remember what month it was. As springtime started to roll around, it was early spring, and I just went in, started handling her, started moving her around some more. I think I let her brumate. What was it? It was maybe October or November. It was maybe 3 or 4 months or something like that. But I ended up waking her up in early spring, and just got her back on feeding and all of that stuff. And she drank about 2,000 gallons of water. And I just kind of played it by ear. And she ended up coming around out of it, did really good. But
my female
with her being down again this winter.
My female Tegu, I ordered her in February, and I thought they were gonna wait until after brumation to ship her, but they shipped her in brumation. And I didn't know she was brumating when she had been shipped to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I started handling her, and she was great. She was super docile. You can walk around with her. And then she realized it was time to wake up and lost her mind.
Mine's been really easy, and I think Christina's got a Tegu as well, and she just said that he goes down when he wants to, and nothing about his environment changes.
Yeah, that's what
we'll see how Groot does, but I get so paranoid about that. I still have a hard time wrapping my head around it. I'm too terribly concerned about going in there, ignoring her for a month and then going in finding her dead and going, damn.
Yeah.
So I do go in and check on her and stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, my pair, they're basically only inside to brumate, and then I keep them in a 16-foot outdoor enclosure, basically so I can go in there and sit down and let them come up to me, or stay way away from me if they want to. But my female was captive bred, and she's the one who's doesn't like people very much.
Mm-hmm.
And my male was wild caught in the Everglades, and he is just a sweetheart. Like, he'll ride around on your shoulders everywhere.
Yeah, that is going to be so cool to have a really tiny snake again. Even Bob's not really all that tiny. I mean, he is, but he's of course, I do have that really tiny male hognose down there, and I never handle because I always feel like I'm going to break him.
That's why I don't handle my hognose.
Well, my little male, I don't handle him a whole lot just because he's so damn small, and my female, she just looks at me when I try and handle her. Hey, Derek, how's it going, man?
Yeah, I got my hognose. She's a normal that's het snow. Because I thought I was going to breed hognoses, and then I got one, and I was like, yeah, I don't really want more. I'm like, they're pretty cool, so I'll keep her and keep her nice and healthy, but I'm probably not gonna breed them.
Yeah. That's awesome. Motivated him to get your first snake. You might as well just give in now, because kind of like Lay's potato chips. You get one, and then you're like, oh, that one's cool too. That one's cool too.
You want a yellow anaconda?
Yeah. Before you know it, every room in your house has got a heartbeat, and you're throwing your furniture out to the side of the road to make room for enclosures.
Now, I saw somebody on Reddit that had turned a couch into an enclosure.
Really?
Yeah, it was weird. It didn't look extremely functional and looked incredibly flammable, but
I bet.
well, because they left the cloth cushions around it, and there's just like 150-watt basking bulbs because it's for like a Quince monitor or something like that.
Yeah.
Like DIY can go too far, and I think I saw it then.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I would be way too paranoid about that. I'm already checking my cameras and all that stuff all day long while I'm at work.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to join the military in February, and I was in boot camp for like 6 weeks, and I was so paranoid the whole time.
Oh, I bet. What branch?
Marine Corps.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was there for 6 weeks, and then my heart decided it couldn't do it anymore.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough, man.
Yeah.
I always fought harder as a civilian, but I worked harder as a soldier.
Yeah.
And growing up around East Chicago and Gary area and that whole area up there, we fought a lot. But and then of course being around army posts and stuff like that, you fight a lot harder when you're by yourself and it's 2:00 in the morning in the middle of something than you do when you've got the entire military behind you. It's really not a terrible fight when you've got well-trained, well-equipped people going against people who are not well-trained and well-equipped. Put that way.
Yeah. So when I got out in the recruit separation platoon, which is just a glorified timeout, when you're leaving the island, because I was on Paris Island, they give you all your paperwork, and they're like, now, just so you know, just because you didn't graduate boot camp, you do have quote unquote legal veteran status. So, like, you have to put that on paperwork. Like, you can't say no to that, or it'll come up in a flag. So I was doing that when I went to college, and I put yes, former military service. And then they called me, and the first thing they said was, thank you for your service. And I was like, oh, God, don't thank me.
Yeah, that's got to be. Yeah, that's got to be kind of frustrating. It's kind of a similar thing, because when I went through Special Forces selection. I went through twice. The first time I hurt my knee and had to pull out. Rehabbed, went back 6 months later, got picked up. My duty MOS was a combat engineer on a conventional side. And that's what I wanted to do on the SF side of the house. They forced me into the medic course because my academic scores were so high. They would not let me do anything other than that. And I stayed the whole process. I was out there with them pushing 2 years between the small unit tactics phase and all this other stuff that we was doing outside of it. And then 6 months into the medic course, and I finally was just like, okay, I'm not a doctor, guys. I said this going into it. I build things and I blow things up, and I do not want to be out in some third world country inoculating kids. I don't want to be spending all of my time back in the rear doing recertifications and ACLS and all this other crap and the ER rotations. I was like, this is not me. So I bolted, came back conventional side. Actually, I was going to get out, and then Iraq happened, and then they kicked me back conventional side, went to the 101st Airborne, and went to Iraq. But yeah, so I mean, I'll talk with people about that, and they'll be like, oh man, give me some Green Beret stories. And I was like, oh yeah, I can give you the Special Warfare Training Group stories for Fort Bragg.
Well, see, I'm like, I have like 5 boot camp stories that are kind of funny.
Yeah.
I was like, that's what I got, and then I had a mild heart attack, and medical was like, yeah, we can't let you stay.
Yeah. I get the specifics on the genetics on her when I put this video out. I will publish that video probably, if not Tuesday afternoon, it'll be Wednesday morning, something like that. It'll probably, assuming that she gets here kind of early, then I can get everything put together and put out, and I'll go into all her genetics. So
Do what I do. Just forget that you're supposed to film the video until last minute.
Hi, Christina. She tried to hustle my snake already. I tell you what, man, when we went up to Retake Fest, I really wanted to see if I could fit Karma in my pocket. She was awesome. Kayla! Hey, God, I haven't talked to you since before you had the kiddo. I hope you guys are doing good out there. Just happened to run across you guys on a Instagram live the other day. I seen you cutting eggs, I think it was. So, long time no see. Hope you guys are really doing good.
Yeah, I was gonna try and get up to Retake Fest, and the date came so fast I forgot about it.
Yeah, I mean, I knew I had one time this year that I could get away, and it was only a 7-hour drive up there. So it was a really good opportunity to get up there and meet some folks.
Yeah, I'm fairly lucky with my job situation because my boss, he runs a lot of businesses, and I was talking to him saying, hey, I want to start my own business doing like animal education because that's what I like doing. So he lets me work 4 days a week. So if there's a reptile show coming up, I don't have to take an extra day off.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I've just got to get myself to the point to where I get everything figured out to where it's self-supporting, and I can just dive into it full time.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress. I mean, the channel's been up for 2 years so far. So, considering the niche and considering that I'm not one of those internet personalities, I'm never going to be a Brian Barczyk. When I get to the point where I'm going out and building a facility or something like that, I'm not very entertaining all the time. I'm not going to be as excited as he is.
I just don't like the sort of Mr. Beast style of editing. I can't talk like that and edit videos like that.
Now, yeah, Brian does great, man. He does great stuff, but he's got that personality for that, and that's what I lack. So I don't know. Maybe I need to hire an internet personality, sit in the background and whisper stuff in their ear.
Just make friends with Mr. Beast, and then
that'd be awesome, man. Mr. Beast needs to do a series since he's from North Carolina too, and it's give a small YouTube channel enough money to open a reptile rescue and zoo.
That's a very specific YouTube video.
Yeah. Yeah, appreciate that, Sam. It does take some patience. Hey, what's going on, man? It's Brandon. I don't know how far behind I am on comments, but I'm going to jump through here. What else we got? Let me come back here. You guys are all keeping up with this stuff, so I just need to kind of get to the end. Hey, Gene, how you doing? Best lizard for a beginner. It's not a Nile monitor.
I can also say from experience, it's not a tegu.
Yeah, tegus are probably not good beginner ones either, just because of the whole brumation thing. You can get them that are really sweet animals, but tegus do have some pretty nasty teeth in them. They'll put the
Yeah,
hurts on
and
you.
I mean, I guess just as far as beginner lizards, they just need a lot more space.
I mean, if you get a bearded dragon set up good, those can be great, but beardies can be tricky if you're slacking on the calcium and the UVB and UVA and all the requirements for them. They can go south really badly. I've got actually it's been 4 or 5 years now. I went into a place and the guy was like, I've got this beardy here. He's got really bad MBD and nobody is going to be able to take him. Nobody's going to want him because he's, do you want to see what you can do with him? And I was like, well, yeah. So, and he was so bad. I didn't expect him to live for 6 months. And it's been 4 or 5 years now. And he's the most gregarious lizard in the house. Oddly enough. I'll go down there. His back legs don't work. So he kind of, flops around and stuff like that. But he's not gotten any worse since we took him in. And he just, every time you see him, he's like, hi, how you doing? Good to see you.
Have you seen those red monster morph beardies?
Yeah. God, some of the different colors that are coming out for them are awesome.
Yeah, I had never really considered owning a beardy, and then I saw somebody on TikTok with a red monster, and I was like, oh man, that black and red is so pretty.
Yeah, I know leopard geckos are pretty good. They can be kind of fragile. Same thing with crested geckos. Both of those are pretty easy to keep. But they're just so tiny. Yeah, I'm the guy where, like, if you hand me a baby, I immediately think I'm gonna break it.
Yeah, I know somebody who has some garter snakes. I'm like, I don't know how you handle these things, especially when they have babies, because
yeah. I'm trying to think of another good one because you can get smaller monitor lizards that are not difficult to they're not terribly difficult to keep. They don't get really big. They're really smart.
I think Kimberly rock monitors are a pretty good smaller monitor.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're smaller.
12 reptiles and 48 tarantulas. Sweet. Yeah, cresties are a lot of fun. You just got to make sure that they don't jump into anything that can hurt themselves. Because they will jump all over the place.
And if there's a random full moon, they might drop their tail.
Yeah, Christina and Danielle and them put together those really, really cool care sheets, QR codes for that last show that we did. Christina's always a lot of help with that kind of stuff. So. Gerald, hey. Let's see. Blue tongue skinks. Those are cool.
Emerald tree skinks are also pretty good.
Yeah. Best starter snake.
I have a ball python.
Yeah. I think everybody starts with ball pythons. Oddly enough, my first snake was a ball python.
I know a lot of people really are like, no, you should never get a ball python as your first snake. But I'm like, and I think they say that mostly because of like humidity requirements. But every snake is going to have humidity requirements.
They're going to have some kind of a requirement with them.
Yeah.
About the only problem you're really going to have with a ball python outside of just your basic care stuff, which isn't terrible, is when they decide not to eat. But I haven't even really had that problem with mine. Mine will refuse. I've got 2 ball pythons, a male and a female. Yeah, they have their moods. They'll refuse for a week or two, and then they eat, and then they refuse, and then they eat. So,
yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think ball pythons are probably one of the better first snakes. I mean, that was my first snake, so I guess I'm biased, but
See, mine are really gregarious too. I mean, mine don't ball up on me or nothing like that. I'll take them out, and they just love the attention when I go downstairs and I'm working in their area. Especially my little male, he'll come out and his nose will follow me around the stuff. So they can be interactive. They're, we call them the pet rocks, but
yeah, you probably can't see it very well, but well, now you
ah,
can't see it. I don't have a phone tripod, so
yeah,
I'm standing it up on my camera tripod.
right.
But I've got a ball python. He's in this enclosure. And he's still tiny. He was born on like May 20th or something like that. And he has a big cork tube, and he just sits in his cork tube all day. But if he's walking around, he just pokes his head out of the top and periscopes around.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had a couple people contact me where their first actual snake was a mainland retic, which was never fun.
Yeah, that's a choice.
Well, we talked about this a little bit on the last live that we did. There's a lady out in California who keeps zebras and horses and donkeys and all kinds of stuff. And she's a county sheriff out there. And, so she's known for being bolder than the average bear, so to speak. And already having a lot of experience with animals. So the very first snake that she ever touched in her life was a retic. And the guy talked her into taking her home. And she did. But and she's done awesome with her. Yeah, she got picked up, of course, on handling and all that stuff really quick. And they're all doing great. So it's hard to say what, can't tell somebody to not get something as a first animal. It all depends on your ability to learn and your dedication. None of this stuff is rocket science. It's really not. Why I have such a hard time walking that balance between telling people that retics are dangerous and telling them that they're puppy dogs. It all depends on the person. With a few exceptions here and there. There's exceptions every rule, but
I get really annoyed sometimes when I see somebody post like that they want like a Burmese python for a first snake, which might not be the best option because they get kind of big, but people are like, no, don't get that, get a ball python first. And like, don't tell somebody to get something they don't want, because they just might decide, I don't like snakes, when a Burmese python might actually be the best option for them. But if anybody does research, they can get pretty much anything they want.
Yeah, there's just I like my small snakes. They're cool to mess around with and stuff like that. But my heart lies in the retics, and working with those big animals like that is just, it's so rewarding to have such a chill animal that size.
Yeah.
Remind me how out of shape I am every time I go outside.
Yeah, I'm more on the Burm side than the retic side. I like them both, but
yeah,
I like that my Burms will just kind of hang out.
Yeah, they are a lot easier. My Burms are a lot easier. They're a lot more chill. I'll take my male Burm out. He's 13 feet now, and he'll go out in the yard and he'll just kind of look around. He'll go every now and then. He'll get a wild hair and just start running away from me. But for the most part, he's just got really chill. But I'll take my male retic out there, set him down. He wants to run to that wood line. I drag him back, and he wants to run to that wood line.
Yeah.
Just go back towards the house, get all up in the bushes and everything like that. It's like, oh my God. So I spend all of my time carrying this snake back and forth across the yard.
Yeah.
That kills me.
I'm also more of a a lot of people like to handle their animals, and I like handling my snakes, but I'm more of I like to set them up in nice enclosures and just kind of watch them.
Mhm.
Which is why I want things like green tree pythons and dart frogs, because they're great to look at, but
Right.
I don't know, there's something about just like hanging out with a big snake
Mm.
that's
Yeah,
not trying to crawl into your feeling.
Yeah. Kevin's got a good point. No such thing as a starter animal. You got to educate yourself on them.
Yeah.
Learn as much as you can.
Nicolas Cage's first snake was a king cobra.
Yeah, retakes. I don't know, man. They're the best in my opinion. I love them. I mean, I love my berm too. He's the only one where both of my berms are the same way. It's so funny because both of them will, as soon as I open up the enclosure, will just come straight out on me almost all the time. Never had one of them bite me. I got a Sri Lankan that looked kind of like a berm, and it bit me about 300 times already.
And you can watch all of that.
Yeah, I know, right? I think I've got just about every time he's ever bitten me on recorded. I keep wanting to say on film because I'm 50 years old, but we don't use film anymore. So.
I say I have stuff on film, so
I've got some stuff on film. I've got a couple VHS tapes here that have got 2 of my old kickboxing matches on there from when I was 19 or 20 years old or something like that. Yeah.
I'm too young to own a VHS.
Yeah. I at some point I need to go down to the museum and see if I can get that stuff transferred over to digital stuff. Because the first time I went in the ring, I show up at the event and my the person that I was supposed to fight didn't show up. So I had to do an exhibition with a heavyweight, and my ring weight was 147, and this guy was pushing I don't know what it was, but I tripled the guy in points. just embarrassed the guy with technique, and he even decided to go into the fight with headgear on. It was really funny at the beginning of it because I'm sitting there and my head is literally cocked up looking at the guy like this. We're doing ring instructions. Long time ago. I used to be able to, we trained so much. Like I said, I lived in a martial arts school for 2 years. I used to be able to get out on a linoleum on 2 office chairs with wheels on them, put a foot on each chair, go down into a full split, have one of my guys jump up and stand on my thighs and then lift us both back up.
I've never been able to do that.
Man, we trained like friggin' madmen. It's nice to reminisce about, but God, the good old days. Yeah, I couldn't just sit and watch a movie with any of my retics because they'd try and bring me the TV.
The movie is supposed to be VR.
Hey, man, I'll tell you, the last time I had, and I can't really have the snakes loose out in the living room here anymore because now we have pet rats. And those live out in the living room. Plus, we got the hedgehog, and I don't need a big snake running around in there getting all stressed out. But before they were in there and I'd let him loose, man, he would, if you turn your head for 3 seconds, pictures are down off the walls. You had curtains down, knock TV over, you pull all kinds of stuff over.
Yeah. So the first big snake I handled was actually this anaconda. Because I'd never held anything bigger than an adult ball python. Which adult ball python to yellow anaconda is probably not the best jump. But this is all on film. But somebody like commented on that video and they're like, "Have you ever handled a big snake before?" Because like, it doesn't look like you have. I was like, "Nope, I haven't." And I watched that whole video back and I was like, "Oh yeah, he probably struck at me because I was doing the circle him like a predator thing for like 5 minutes."
Yeah, the only thing that I really think is important if you're going to keep big snakes is that it just trying to find, even if you got to drive 4 hours to do it, trying to find that experience working with animals that are the size that your animals are going to be, because you never know. You know, I get so many messages from folks. You know, man, I got my retic as a baby, and now he's 8, 10, 12 feet long, and doesn't want me in the enclosure. I can't clean it. I can't interact with him, and stuff like that. And I mean, clearly these are people, you know, lower skill level and so forth. But I think if you're going to have a big snake, you need to know how to mitigate the worst case scenario, you know, and
Yeah.
and get some hands-on experience, because if you've never tried to get a 16-foot snake off of you before, I guarantee you don't know how to do it. Because
Yeah.
you know, one mistake on a hot food response or something like that, you know, it can happen to any of us.
Yeah. And it's, my big thing is getting bit, because I've had snakes for over a decade and I've never once been tagged by a snake.
Yeah.
Because I've been really lucky.
Yeah.
So every time I handle a snake that's either really food motivated or pretty defensive, I'm always like, I don't want to get bit by this thing, even though I know that it's not gonna do anything. I mean,
Right.
like that little anaconda probably wouldn't even really break the skin. So
Right. Yeah. But there will come a day.
it'll happen someday, and then it'll be fine.
I mean, it's really funny, because even as many retics as I've worked with, my male down there, more often than not, and it was really funny because like I said yesterday, I had some folks over at the house, and I've got the door down there going outside, and he come around and has enclosures right there. The wife went outside, and the guy was standing to my left. I opened up the door, so I'm between him and the door. And I was kind of explaining to him what I was doing with Tigger, because he was all balled up in the corner, and just staring at me like this, like he always does, putting on his big front. And I told him, I was like, don't get freaked out, because I'm going to go in there. I'm going to tap him with a hook a little bit, get him moving. I said, as soon as my hand touches him, he's going to start hauling ass, and I'm going to start wrestling him. This is normal. And it's an 80-pound retic. So as usual, as soon as I get my hand on Tigger's back, man, he shoots across to the other side of the enclosure. And I commence the, hauling in the tow line on this guy. And finally get him out of the enclosure, get him out there. But I mean, stuff like that makes a lot of people uneasy, because when you've got that much weight and you're putting that much effort into it, I don't ever worry about him biting me. But if you've got a snake that size that gets defensive and decides to take a pop at you, it's something else when you've got a snake that big that wraps its tail around your arm and is turning around coming at you, and you got to try and manage that. So that's the kind of stuff I think everybody should deal with at some point, somewhere. So that way when you've got people around or something like that, or you at least know how to mitigate the stuff, keep everybody safe.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get my bigger anaconda more used to me, and I was talking to Ari Awesomeness, who runs the Anaconda Park. He has mostly yellow anacondas, and I was like, hey, I don't think this animal is actually that bad. I think it's how I'm working with him is making him a little bit on edge.
Yeah.
So I was like, how do I kind of get him used to me? And he was like, yellow anacondas are weird. Read a book outside of its enclosure every day. He was like, just sit outside of its enclosure, get it used to you being there, and then just start opening the enclosure and letting him come out on his own.
Right.
And he was like, even like, yellow anacondas are weird. The really docile ones, if you move weird, they'll take a pop at you because they're just such reactive animals. But he was like, if you can get them just kind of used to you, it's worth it.
Yeah. I mean, you can go forever with the animals that you've got and never get struck, never get bit, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's an experience I think most of us should have if we're gonna as bad as it probably sounds. I think everybody should get bit by a giant snake.
At least once. Yeah. In hindsight, I wish I had done that, but I mean, now I've got him here, and I have the really elaborate system for cleaning his enclosure and his water bowl.
Right. Yeah, it's one of the things that I really want to implement when I get moved into a bigger place and I can get the bigger enclosures done. I want to have a divider in there where I can, just let the snake chill out, have it safe and locked up, and go in and do it. I want to build something like Garrett's got out there right now for Karma. I think that's
Is
like
that the one that he built like a tiny house for, or? Is that the one he built like a tiny house for or something?
Yeah, he's got the windows built into it and all that stuff. And just so much room in there for that animal, which is awesome. So I want to have, right now I've got the 2 big retics. I want to have one of those for each one of them. And like I said, if I just don't have the space here for it. But when I do get moved and I get more space to work with, they're going to be all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Because my male's only 10 years old. I'll have him for another 10 years at least, before he starts to age out. My female's 5. She's going to outgrow him. She's going to be 18 feet at least,
Yeah.
The rate that she's growing. So.
Yeah. My female is a year and a half old, and she doesn't stop growing. That's it's her favorite pastime.
Mm.
It's like every time I feed her a meal, it's like clockwork. Every time she eats, she goes into shed.
Right.
And I was like, man, because when I put her in this 4-foot enclosure like 2 months ago, she was still like small enough that was good. And I'm like, my goodness, now you already need a 6-foot. And she needs more height anyway. That was the PVC I had, and it's like 18 inches. And I'd like it to be taller, but
it don't take long.
No. When I get my shed out here, and it's all ready, I'm gonna get one of those Toad Ranch 12-foot enclosures. Because they do like 12-foot long and 4-foot tall. So I think as far as indoor enclosures go, I think that's as good as you can buy. I don't think you can buy anything bigger than
that. Yeah, I'm gonna build everything else.
Yeah.
It's just, especially, I mean, it's going to be the amount of just framing in rooms for him, really.
Yeah, that would be my ideal situation whenever I get my property set up.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I did with Niles' enclosure.
Yeah.
I had to hold him in a little 6-foot enclosure all day, and I just went in there and framed all that stuff up for him. So, and it was really cheap, It wasn't that expensive at all.
Doing big enclosures like that just it's not as expensive as I thought it was going to be.
Yep.
I mean, my 16-foot cage for my tegus was like $3,000.
Yeah, I mean, if you get good at building enclosures and kind of you can tweak the materials that you use and stuff like that, it's not that terrible. I mean, if you're going to be putting together, retail bought PVC enclosures and you're trying to get 20, 30 of them, you better have some money in your pocket.
Yeah. I mean, so I built this one, obviously. This is the anaconda cage. It's 8 by 2 by 3.
Right.
And that was like $500. It was not expensive to do.
Right.
He's probably at the top of that enclosure. I found out that yellow anacondas climb a lot more than greens.
Yeah.
From the guy who told me to read a book outside of his enclosure. And I put a couple of really thick honeysuckle branches in there.
Okay.
And he'll spend like half the day just coiled up on branches. So.
Right. Yeah, all of my snakes will use this stuff. Even the ball pythons, I'll put some little stuff in there for them, and they'll spend a lot of time hanging out on there. So
yeah.
I can't wait to get I just can't wait to get big enough enclosures for them retics, man. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
I really think I may actually just move my bedroom down into the reptile room and have the bed over here and then all the retic enclosures around me.
I mean, hey, I'm an Eagle Scout. I like camping. I want a retic enclosure big enough for me to set up a tent in.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Have you
entire
ever
room set up for alligator? I love it. That's awesome.
Have you ever seen Dougie Smith around on Facebook?
I may have seen it, and the name just doesn't ring a bell with me.
So he's got some awesome enclosures. He has a few retics. He has a croc monitor, and they are all like giant rooms that he framed the insides in trees that he cut in half. And they all just look like little rainforests.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, yeah, if I had the space, I'd be doing that right now.
My old place, I had a bedroom set up to where I literally just put trees in there and a kiddie pool and stuff like that so that I could let snake loose and just let them do whatever they wanted to. But then when I moved here, this place just doesn't have that, and I can't. Too many ways for the snakes to get hurt. The way it's set up, and I don't have extra rooms, so any place where I put them, they're going to destroy something or they're going to destroy themselves. So the only option I've got is to either handle them and keep my hands on them, keep them controlled, or take them outside. So
yeah, I had a carpet python that I was letting kind of just roam around. Because before I had a full-time job, I put all of my money into my animals. So my bedroom was literally like a bed, a desk, and a TV, and that was it.
Right.
So I was like, I mean, it's not that dangerous. And I let this like 8-foot carpet python wander around my room. Mm-hmm. And I was doing homework, and he found the ceiling fan. And it wasn't on, but he just wrapped himself up in the ceiling fan. Mm-hmm. And it took like an hour to get him down because it's.
Yeah, that you really got to pay attention to the ceiling fans.
Yeah,
all of my snakes, man, when I take them out, my little female retic was bad about that. As soon as I take her out, she'd start going up and she'd see the shadows and just get hypnotized and start going.
Yeah.
And yeah, Gene was talking about me about having a heart attack. Yeah, I'm not the stud that I used to be. I used to be able to run 7 miles and still not even be breathing heavy afterwards. However, I don't do that anymore. So it makes it a little bit more difficult. I actually had back when Tigger was probably about 13, 14 feet, he got up about 12 feet up in a tree. I had to climb up in the tree. Yeah. I climbed literally, I was like 10, 12 feet up off the ground trying to get this snake out of the tree. And he was just laughing at me the whole time.
Have you ever
all right, Christina, you guys have a good night. Christina was leaving. I just want to say bye.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever listened to the Morelia Python Radio podcast?
I may have caught it. There's so many of them out there that I catch.
Yeah.
And, I try and catch everything a little bit, but there's not a whole lot that I actually follow. There's just so much out there.
These guys are like, they're the originals. They've been doing it for like, well, I guess not the originals. They've been doing it for like 13, 14 years.
Yeah.
Once a week doing podcasts. And they had somebody on talking about his African rock pythons.
Oh, cool.
And he was like, yeah, I had an African rock python go into my apple tree. and I had to get a hacksaw and cut the limb down that it was on.
Man, I didn't
was
have
like-
to go that far, but it was fun. There's not too many things more unnerving than being up in a tree like that with a snake that's like in your face laughing at you the whole time, and you're trying to unwrap the thing. As but it's so
Yeah.
much fun. I mean, these guys, and neither one of my big retics, man, we'll go out and wrestle around with him, and sometimes he gets really like rambunctious and just does not want to sit still. And no matter, they're so tolerant, man. I mean,
Yeah.
they're more tolerant than dogs. You know, I've had
Yeah.
I had a dog that I raised from a puppy years back, and it, you know, if I overstepped my bounds with telling him what to do, he'd turn around and take a snap at me.
Yeah.
Never had one of these snakes do that.
Yeah. So I used to have a Jampai locality dwarf.
Yeah.
Who he's at a friend's house now, and he's huge. He was small when I had him, but he's like 13 feet right now.
Nice.
But I took him to programs because you could completely mess with his face, move him around, touch his tail, and he just did not care. And my berm is that way, but most of the snakes in here, if you started messing with their face, then they'd have an issue with it. But
Yeah. Yeah, mine don't necessarily have a problem with the face. I don't reach out and grab them or nothing like that. But if they bump into something, they don't have too much of a problem. You know, a lot of times if I go in there and I get too close to them, they'll pull away. But of course, when you're wrestling around with them, they're gonna, you know, they do pretty good.
And I got struck at by a ball python. She was the first snake I had. I had her for a decade. And then she broke out of an enclosure and I never saw her again. But I wasn't really paying attention to her because I was watching TV with my ball python and I was petting the end of her tail. And she turned around and struck at the hand that was petting her tail. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess
they don't like that.
I guess that's a no-no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now I just have my berm. My berm is okay with pretty much anything.
Damn, man, it's like 11 o'clock already.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know how long I was going to pop on. Like I said, I was just spur of the moment thing. Like, hey, we'll go live and see who wants to jump on. But I think I'm going to start doing stuff like this more often. Just kind of jumping on and leaving it open to anybody that wants to come on and shoot the shit and talk snake stuff. And
yeah, I mean, it's been awesome talking to you tonight.
Yeah. And yeah, most of the live stream stuff that you see, it's all the ball python breeders, which is cool. But
yeah,
we do other stuff too, so we should probably start doing this every week.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll get on like an every Saturday night schedule or something like that, and I just plan on getting here bumping my gums for a little while. And if somebody jumps on, cool. If they don't, but I think we had enough people to make a good conversation just about any weekend. So.
Oh yeah.
Especially with winter coming. So.
All right. Well, I'll probably hop off here because I didn't realize it was 11.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump off of here and get ready to call it a night. I got to get ready to have all the kids over here tomorrow and get the animals outside. So.
All right. Well, it was awesome getting to talk to you, Tim.
Yeah, man. Like I said, we'll do this stuff more. So.
All right.
For everybody who was hanging out, man, it was cool to see. Yeah, we kept about 25 people in here, I think, tops or something. So that's cool. It was good to talk to everybody. So
awesome.
You guys have a good one. I'm gonna go do stuff.
You too.